we are so happy that we can discuss gate entrainment with you, and we want to receive as much as possible, more comments, more thoughts, and opinions on the topic. We hope we can show some online opinions, but no internet, but still you can take a picture and send comments later. Okay, but let's first see why we are interested in gate entrainment to biomechanical theory. In many societies, the population is aging, which means more elderly people, more incidence of neurological diseases like stroke or Parkinson's disease, and less young population to provide gait or tracking. So robot-aided locomotion theory is interesting. However, most of them use predefined kinetics and kinematics, which may decrease the active participation of the patient, which is not desired, because if they don't use the skills that they already have, they may even lose them. So we are so interested to find methods and approaches that help us to interact with impaired human motor control instead of take control over the motor control of patients. And as I told, gait entrainment to biomechanical fields can be one approach. And here it is one stride of a person walking with preferred walking speed, which means that this duration could be consistent between different strides. And we can use exoskeletons or other methods to apply periodic torque to lower limb joints. In literature, they used torque in hip and ankle, and thankfully we don't need very large torque, and 10% of the maximum required torque in the joint for level walking was enough. And the periodic torque, the period of torque should be not very different from the period of stride period of the person walking. And after some pulses, the person start to change the gait in a way that at the end it may match the period of strides to period of torques. And more interestingly, the gait phase where the pulses are applying will be matched with the gait phase where the pulses can assist propulsion.
So that was an overview of what gait entrainment is. And our goal here, as Zahra said, is to kind of get the community's insights, comments, thoughts, concerns on gait entrainment with wearable robotics, just in general. We're writing a predictive narrative review, whatever you want to call it, on the topic with some collaborators. And we think this is a fantastic opportunity to make sure that we have a really well-rounded paper with a lot of thoughts and insights. So this QR code, you can use it at any point. You can leave comments on our Google Clap thing. I'll leave it open for like a week. So you can use that at any point. But yeah, I'd love to start the discussion. So start raising hands and let's go. This is a great discussion.
I know a weird example of gait entrainment.
Okay.
If you take a platform and oscillate it up and down sort of fast,
Yep.
you can jump on it synchronously for period 1, period 2, I don't know about period 3, but once you lock, you feel phase lock, and you get out, it's just you bang your legs and it's all messed up and everything.
Okay, so not for walking, but for like kind of bouncing.
But it is a gait thing because it's, if a trotting horse, and you ride on a trotting horse, people do this motion which is half the frequency of the horse, and that's an entrainment of twice the period, half the frequency of the horse from it's called posting on the horse.
Okay, cool.
Not really deep.
I mean, it's interesting, yeah.
There's some evidence that birds entrain in space, not time.
Birds entrain space, not time, is that
Yeah.
right? So what do you mean by space?
So here's bird flying V formation, everyone. So if they're flying next to each other, if they're flying a wavelength behind, flying half wavelength behind.
Huh. Okay, that's very interesting, because that would involve sort of visual entrainment.
Maybe not.
Or maybe
No,
not.
maybe not. Maybe, so there's something like they can feel
Maybe
the...
more, if you've got some kind of force control, then you can imagine being slowed down. You got cilia doing this sort of thing, and put two cilia together, they do that sort of thing.
Okay.
Is it not from the horses?
It happens to match some vortex prediction, whether it's I'm very clever, or whether it's I fly my wings down and that slows down, who knows.
Interesting. Very good to know.
Josh, can you discuss a little bit or give some insight into how you view the relationship between this gait and training paradigm and just kind of more general biofeedback paradigms where you're trying to induce a specific, walking pattern or hip angles or something like that?
I guess in biofeedback, you are trying to be specific, right? You're giving a specific thing. You need to walk this, you need to meet this goal or this target. Whereas with entrainment, one of the advantages is it's supposed to be subconscious. So you're receiving the signal, small torque at a joint, and without thinking about it, you are responding to that signal subconsciously, theoretically. So that would be the benefit, and I guess the difference in biofeedback, because we're not saying, congratulations, you've walked at the speed we want you to walk, or you've walked at the cadence we want. We're just giving the feedback, not the feedback, we're just giving the input, and then seeing what happens. Yeah?
Yeah, and then I guess quick follow-up question. Would you expect, conscious adaptations due to biofeedback or subconscious adaptations to the gait entrainment to last longer post-intervention?
It's a really, really good question, and we don't know. I would hope that if you use a wearable robot for entrainment for long enough, that there would be at least a short-term carryover effect, which would have sort of implications for clinical populations or older populations. But whether that would work, I don't think anyone's looked at that, so that's definitely a question to be considered. Yes?
How do you think the sensory issues that come with some of these patient populations will play a role, or do you think that this may be more like purely mechanical?
I hope it's purely mechanical, because then we can subvert some of those sensory issues. I think that there will be a little bit of issues. If you're targeting older people, there may be less sensitivity or less just muscle mass to kind of interpret the torque. But I don't think, and again, anyone is welcome to comment on this. I would like a discussion. I don't think it would be a serious issue, because I know some people use like vibration as a signal. That I think you can get desensitized to with time, and some people have generally less sensitive skin than others. So there is an issue of desensitization over time, but my hope is that it's not related to sensory.
These were general comments about entrainment, or ones that apply to your system?
General comments about
Okay,
entrainment.
3 more.
Hit me.
Okay, just looking at people walking on campus, I have the impression that they're disproportionately walking synchronously. So somehow or other, people, and Jim says that there's a famous fact that you perceive synchrony when it's not there. So I might be misperceiving it, and I don't know if anybody's done the measurement, but it looks to me like people like to walk synchronously, and they like to run synchronously also. That's one. 2 is people like to be synchronous with sounds. It's like pleasurable, dancing. You like to do it. And you like, even walking is, a form of walking with the beat is a really nice thing to do. People like to do it. Okay, a third thing.
I'm gonna interrupt you in the second point, because metronome cueing, which is a form of entrainment, is very often used in Parkinson's. And the issue with metronome cueing is you have to have headphones on or a music system, which makes it more visible that you have a...
You said you didn't care if it applied to your system.
I didn't say if it applied, but I'm just talking generally.
It's not useful. Okay, yeah, okay.
And the third point?
Well, third is another auditory one, is for some reason, it works out good for harmonies. They like to walk with the beat. I don't know why. and then just the last one, again, it's a beat thing, is I was a subject in an experiment where they're, where you're walking at a fixed beat and a fixed rhythm and walking to a metronome and so on. And then you do your self-selected pace. And they turned on the metronome at my self-selected pace after I was doing self-selected walking for long. It felt like walking got easier. Like somehow being given the coordination by sound, it seems to me there's something nice about it. It makes it easier and nicer or something.
I've actually seen the same sort of thing. I did some studies where we had to have people walk at the same pace, so we used metronome cueing to try to encourage that. We didn't use headphones, we just had it like, I had my phone play on the desk, and it was fine. But the thing I noticed is people like to pick up habits. So we were applying random perturbations to their ankle while they walked, and they kept asking me, am I not doing it right? The perturbation hasn't happened. And I'm like, I don't know when they're happening. They're fully random. I have no control over it. And I would tell them that 100 times, and they would still try to find a pattern as to when the next perturbation would occur. So people like patterns.
So this
So this reminds me of some literature that shows that actually this cueing to a beat goes better if you don't offer a evenly spaced beat, but a fractal pattern beat.
Okay.
So there has to be some variation, and then you're actually better at matching the beat. And so that could be relevant in terms of your cueing, that you don't do it like fixed, but have some variations in there.
Oh.
How variable is the beat in that context? Is it enough where the participant is noticing it, or is it very small?
I wouldn't know if they're noticing it, but they say it has to have a specific, particular structure.
Is this Sturgill? Is this Sturgill study?
Yeah, there's some from Sturgill, there's some from some French groups as well. Yeah.
Like your heartbeat has a natural randomness.
Yeah, so this is the idea, is 1 over F noise that you need to match.
How about walking in parallel? I know there is research on two people walking in parallel and they studied the synchronization between the frequencies.
Louder, please.
I know there is research about two people walking in parallel and they studied the synchronization between the same frequency. I don't know the details, but it could be kind of
Even between the owner and the dog,
I don't know the details, but could be.
that there is literature that shows synchronization.
Can't hear it.
She said that even between owners and dogs, there's literature that shows the synchronization of gait in parallel. Yes.
I just want to add on to the comment about metronome. When using a fairly rigid exoskeleton, even if I could walk at a certain cadence, when I'm trying to match, or my colleague was trying to match the metronome, I don't know if it's a loss of concentration at one point in time, but it's very easy to actually become desynchronized at some point, and it's hard to fix that. So I guess my experience is a little bit backwards there. Getting matching to a metronome is actually difficult. Maybe it's the device though.
I did find when I ran it with stroke participants, they struggled with that.
Yeah.
But with able-bodied participants, especially people who do marching band, very
I find it a lot easier to actually follow metronome, which is every 4th beat and not every beat. So I can basically select how many cycles I can push in there, and when should that be. I just need to getting the 4th one and the finding the 4th one should happen.
Yep, that's interesting to know.
Just going back to the headphones comment, I think there is an auditory aspect to somebody next to you walking as well, right? You can hear their footsteps. I'd be interested if you put deafening earphones on somebody and had them walking to somebody next to them if we have the same response, or if that would throw things off, because maybe they're picking up on the same auditory cue as cueing and metronome or something like that.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I have not the same idea, but related to groups. So maybe you have 5 of them, and you just give them cue to 2 or all or none, and then you can see if the training happens faster, slower, or what happens. Whether you have groups or
Yeah, that's group thought. Hive mind, let's call it, is a thing.
So I've done studies with people in training on a treadmill to vertical impulses, rhythmically in time. And to your comment about the different sensory inputs, so we would put a curtain in front of the actuators that were jostling up and down, and we have them wear headphones with sort of ambient noise to try and block out some of the sounds, and people do still systematically train. So we were hoping for a mechanical effect of this, so I think there's some pretty good evidence that people are responsive in that way. Of course, you can still feel like the straps on your body tightening and that kind of thing, so it's possible some of it could be through there, but yeah.
Is there any phase dependence on if you perturb them at a different point in the phase, do they train better or worse?
Yeah, so I mean, it's just kind of cycling at a slightly different frequency than you would normally walk at, so you're going to get exposed to all kinds of phase relationships, and that's one of the main outcomes is what phase people prefer. It seems like people largely prefer to align upward forces with their upward vertical velocity. In other words, extracting a lot of positive mechanical power from the external oscillations. And well, that's one of the things that I still find the most interesting about it. I don't fully understand it. I guess my expectation was that people would like to align upward forces with the middle of double stance, essentially the step-to-step transition. But it seems like people really prefer to have upward forces sort of after that, as a kind of around toe off or a little bit after that.
We've got 2 minutes left, so I'm going to quickly say what our next plan of research is, and this will explain why I'm so defensive over the metronomes. Parkinson's disease, oh, this is kind of your motor control loop. And in Parkinson's disease, there's an issue in the basal ganglia which causes struggles with internal cueing. So people with Parkinson's struggle to know the timings of the motor action that they're doing, which in this case is walking. So they often have shorter steps, slower movements, and difficulty initiating movements or freezing the gait. So our sort of goal is to use wearable robots to prove, external cueing is very often done with visual cues like lasers, metronomes, as we've all seen, vibrotactile, and then the old-fashioned walk faster really works with people with Parkinson's. So our goal is to use the wearable robots to provide the torque at some frequency, at some pattern, to encourage them to walk faster. Whether we're aiming for cadence or longer steps, it's still to be seen. But this is our goal. We are starting piloting with able-bodied very soon. Yes? So that's our sort of specific target. So if you have any other comments, questions, or would like to talk to either of us about it, we'll both be around, and Zahra will have a poster tomorrow. So that's a great chance to sort of leave your feedback and ideas. And we are like 10 seconds early.
Yo!